What if I told you that a single decision could potentially add or subtract thousands of dollars from your retirement income? You work your entire life, and when you get to the finish line, you find yourself lost in a maze of government paperwork and unsure if you're making the right choices for your future. Sound familiar? Today, I'll be covering all you need to know about applying for CPP and OAS in 2024, ensuring that you get the most out of your hard-earned benefits. And stick around until the end, as I will reveal 4 lesser-known tips that could make a massive difference to your financial situation. It's your favourite Scotsman here again, and let's dive into the Canada Pension Plan, or CPP, starting with the basics. To be eligible for CPP, you just need to have made at least one payment into the plan while you worked. While the regular age to start receiving CPP is 65, you've got options. You can start as early as 60 or delay all the way up to age 70. But here's where it gets interesting. Starting early, before 65, means your pension gets a wee bit smaller. By 0.6% for each month, you're ahead of schedule. That adds up to 7.2% reduction every year. On the flip side, for every month you wait past 65, your pension grows by 0.7% per month, which yields a total of 8.4% increase every year that you delay. More often than not, folks start their CPP early or just go with the flow at 65, often timing it when they receive their official Old Age Security or OAS letter. We'll come back to that shortly. But making an informed choice in when to start your CPP can significantly impact your retirement income. So, it's not a decision to rush into without doing a wee bit of planning. I use round numbers here and assumed that your calculated CPP payment at age 65 would be $1,000. You don't need a financial advisor to tell you that there's a pretty big difference between taking your CPP if it's 60 versus 65 versus 70. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer, and it's all about what works best for you, your tax situation, and your income needs. If you've listened to me before, you'll know I consistently advocate for delaying your CPP benefits even up to age 70, provided you're in good health. The average person will end up better off. Recently, I went through this with one of our clients. We compared all the numbers. The one thing he said, which you may not have thought about, was, "Chris, putting these numbers aside for a second, I feel more comfortable knowing that I'm going to get a higher monthly pension in my later years, which will increase each year with inflation, and I don't have to worry as much about what the markets do." Quick break here. If you aren't one of the 1,500 people that has downloaded our free retirement planning guide, click on the link in the pinned comments section in the comment section below and get your copy today. Alright, back to what you came for, and let's recap on the OAS basics for a second. To be in the running for OAS, you need to have been a resident of Canada for at least 10 years after turning 18. Eyeing the full OAS amount, then you'll need a solid 40 years of Canadian living under your belt post 18. OAS kicks in at 65, but you can delay snagging this benefit up until you hit 70. Why wait? Well, each month you hold off, your OAS benefit grows by 0.6%, adding up to a 36% boost if you max out the delay to 70. The benefit of delaying OAS is slightly less than that of delaying CPP. So if you're going to delay one, you get more bang for your buck by delaying CPP. Now what happens is that about a year before you turn 65, you'll get a nice letter in the mail about starting OAS. The default for most people is to fill out the form without much thought and mail it back. But I can't stress enough, do not do that. For 2024, OAS clawback clicks in once you earn more than $90,997. So, if you find yourself in that situation, there can be major benefits to delaying. At the end of this video, check out my other video on OAS clawback and how to avoid it. If you don't inform the government that you wish to delay, then they'll automatically enrol you. So you must inform them by filling out the paperwork or by going to your My Service Canada account. For both CPP and OAS, you can apply up to 12 months before you want to start. They recommend giving at least 120 days for paper applications, and I would go one step further and do it for 6 months beforehand. When it comes to the government, you know nothing's easy. The best way to apply is online through your My Service Canada account. This is the fastest and most efficient way. You can apply in paper, but it'll take much longer to receive the approval, and any need for clarification on your application could delay your benefits. If you do mail it though, send it by recorded delivery. You want to make sure that they actually get it. I've seen this happen more times than you would think, but the last thing you want to do is send it off by mail and then find out several months later that there's no application in process and you have to start the whole thing again from scratch. For those who've already applied, how long was your wait time? Drop your comments in the section below to give other viewers a bit of insight. Just to recap briefly here, the CPP is not an automatic payment, and you must apply if you want to receive it as a payment. The OAS will be automatically sent to you at age 65, but you have to apply to defer it if you don't want to receive it. You can then apply to receive it at any time between the ages of 65 and 70. Whether you want it or not, you will automatically receive your full benefit at age 70. For both applications, you'll need to have your SIN number and banking information on hand. For CPP, there are a few other things to be aware of when making the application. If you took time off from work to raise children, like my wife is just now, you can apply to have those years deducted from your CPP benefit calculation. To repeat, this isn't done automatically. You have to apply for it, and it can make a massive difference to your monthly benefit. This applies to you, then you will need to have your kids' information on hand when you're doing this application. If it makes sense to do so, you can also apply to share your CPP pension with your spouse and common law partner. People often overlook this strategy, which can result in significant tax savings, particularly if one of you is in a higher tax bracket. How much you can share depends on how long you and your spouse have lived together during your joint contributory period between ages 18 and 65. For this, you'll need to have your spouse's SIN and information prepared. If you've lived and worked in another country that has a social security agreement with Canada, you'll need to have that information to hand. If any of these situations apply to you, I've included links in the show notes for more information. The OAS application also requires all the usual personal information. One point to note, if you're like me and were not born in Canada, you'll need to provide the date you arrived in Canada, and if you moved here after the age of 18, like me again, you will need to have details on all the places you have resided outside of Canada after the age of 18. Now, I did promise you 4 lesser known tips to take away, so here is what you've been waiting for. The first is OAS related. If you're over 65 and have not yet received OAS, then you may be able to apply and get a retroactive payment for up to a maximum of 11 months from the date Service Canada receives your application. Likewise, let's say you start your OAS and then realise, you know what, this isn't really good for me just now. I'm just getting clawed back, and delaying would be much more beneficial in the long run. You have up to 6 months after starting OAS to cancel it. After that though, unfortunately, it's tough luck. The third tip I'll leave with you today is if you start CPP and then change your mind, you can cancel it up to 12 months after you start receiving it. You must request the cancellation in writing. You must also pay back all the CPP income you've received. And finally, the CPP calculation is based on how much you've put into the plan and how long you've contributed to it. The how long part is entirely dependent on how many years you've worked in Canada between the ages of 18 and 65. The calculation excludes the 8 lowest earning years of your working life. However, this implies that you must monitor your CPP benefit if you retire early, such as at age 55. Between ages 55 and 65, you'll not be contributing to the plan, and those 10 years would count unfavourably towards the calculation and start to bring down your overall CPP payment. In this case, you may actually be better off considering taking CPP early, so something to think about there. There's one takeaway from today. The key is not to apply for CPP and OAS blindly, as it can cost you tens of thousands over the years. If you haven't done so, I'd encourage you to download our free retirement guide by clicking on the link in the pinned comment in the comments section. And if OAS clawback is something you're worried about, then don't go anywhere and watch this next video I have lined up for you.